Greetings, Benjamin J. from BENZTRAINZ with another in the series. Well, I wanted to do a quick video on these Marx sliding couplers. Now, personally, I hate these things. These were designed for a wind-up train, and the whole idea of this was you had, say, 4 cars, and you could push them all together, and that would take all the load off the spring-loaded locomotive to get it moving. And then as it started to move, it pulled this one pulled that one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So it took all the load off of a spring-powered locomotive just to get it moving. The problem with them, of course, is that when you try to use them on a standard locomotive consist, they collapse when you stop, they expand back out when you start to move, and it just makes a big thud. And it just isn't very practical. It just isn't very practical at all to use on a standard electrical powered locomotive. So there's a couple of ways to modify these, and I thought I'd do a quick video on it. This is one of my pet peeves, actually. I really dislike these couplers. So anyway, a couple of ways to modify them to turn them into standard or close to standard tab and slot couplers. So I've got a body here. Now the first way to do this is to remove the coupler and put an 832 nut. And this is tapered, of course. I've got one here. As you see, it's tapered. So you slide a nut onto this and it'll stop right about there. So an 832 nut, and you may have to open it up with a drill bit or a small file to get where you want it to be. And slide it in position and then just bend the tab straight up on the end, as you see. And that locks it in position so it can't move anymore. And yet it still pivots perfectly and runs just fine. An easy way to do this is to take it off and replace it with a standard tab and slot. Now, as you see, this is in a small punched out flap that's just folded up in the body of the car itself. So what you can do is just bend this down so it's flush, take a standard tab and slot coupler, slide it into position, take a paper joiner. Of course, I'm trying to do this through the camera, so it's really difficult for me to see this. And you notice that's a slot rather than a hole. But the nice thing about it is these paper joiners are flat. And so it will fit directly through that slot, as you see. And just fold it down, and you have installed a standard tab and slot coupler. This is really simple. So 2 ways to do this. One, using the paper joiner and a replacement tab and slot coupler. The other way is to use the coupler that's actually on the car. Like I said, just slide a 832 nut up until it stops and then bend the end up to make it solid so it will not move anymore. 2 really simple ways to do this. This is the most attractive way, of course. It looks nice. This is the simplest way because you can use the existing coupler. And if you take the couplers off, don't throw these away. These are absolutely perfect for using on the Marx 6000 or the Marx 62 B&O. You can just snap this tab off on the back, drill a hole, and you have the coupler for the diesel locomotive. So it's really simple. Anyway, I just want to do a really simple way to modify these couplers so they're no longer sliding. Now, as you see, this is really easy, but you have to replace the coupler. This way, you just pull the coupler out, slide an 832 nut on the tapered shaft until it stops. Like I said, this is tapered, so it'll only go on so far, and it'll just lock itself there. And then put it through the slot and then just bend the end up. See if I can get a good shot of this. And then just bend the end up, and that locks it in position, as you see. And it still has enough pivot to go lock to lock. And so it runs perfectly on the rail. It's really simple to do this. Anyway, 2 really simple ways to replace these couplers. This one looks the nicest, but you have to replace the coupler, so it takes a tab and slot to do this. But it works. It's really simple, no muss, no fuss. Put a paper joiner up through that slot, fold it down flat, and you have replaced the coupler with a standard tab and slot. Or, like I said, in this case, remove the coupler, slide a 832 nut onto the tab, wait till it bottoms out, push it up until it stops, and then fold this end up to lock it in position. As you see, it's really simple to do this. And it eliminates the problem of those couplers moving. And it locks in position, and yet you still have lock-to-lock pivot on the coupler itself. So a really, really simple way to disable these sliding couplers. And you can just put the wheels back on this, and you're up and running with your new couplers. As you see, it's really simple. Either way you do it. This way you don't have to replace anything. You just use the existing part and add that nut. This way, of course, you have to replace the original coupler with another tab and slot. But it works, and it's really, really simple. As you see, it works absolutely perfectly. So either way, if you feel like I do and you really dislike these sliding couplers, I just want to do a quick video on a really simple way to eliminate the problem. This way you use the existing coupler and just add that nut and then bend it on this end. This side, you just replace the old coupler with a new one and put a paper joiner up through the slot. You don't even have to drill a hole. Just put it up through the slot and install a standard coupler. It works both ways. So this is the easiest because you don't have to replace anything. This one looks the nicest because you're actually replacing the old coupler with a standard tab and slot. Anyway, just want to do a quick video on this. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.